Imagine the thunder of "Whole Lotta Love" echoing through an arena. Jimmy Page hunched over his Les Paul, creating riffs that defined a decade. For years, he's been the mysterious figure behind Led Zeppelin's sound, known for a unique blend of blues, folk, and heavy orchestration. He didn't just play the guitar, he built sonic structures. Tonight, we look at the career of a man who approached rock music like an alchemist, constantly mixing different elements to see what would explode. What exactly made Jimmy Page's approach so influential? Beyond the fame and the stadium tours, what was the actual truth of his musical contribution? Tonight, we're peeling back the layers of the legend to look at the session musician, the producer, and the guitarist who made the studio his ultimate instrument. Born James Patrick Page in 1944, his beginnings were quiet and suburban. Moving to Epsom as a child, he was often solitary, drawn to art and the sounds he heard on the radio. There was no grand musical heritage in his family, just a boy and a curiosity for how sounds were made. That early isolation perhaps contributed to the focused, almost clinical way he would later approach his craft. Like many of his generation, it started with a discarded guitar in a new house and the spark of rockabilly. Lonnie Donegan and Elvis were the catalysts, but Page's interest quickly deepened into the blues. Elmore James, B.B. King, and Freddie King. He wasn't just a fan, he was a student of the fretboard, obsessively learning the mechanics of the genre. Before the world knew Led Zeppelin, Page was one of London's most sought-after session musicians. He played on countless hits for artists like the Kinks, The Who, and even Shirley Bassey. This period was crucial. It wasn't about fame, it was about discipline. He learned exactly how a studio worked, how to layer tracks, and how to deliver precisely what a song needed under pressure. In 1966, Page finally stepped out of the studio shadows and joined the Yardbirds, initially on bass, then moving to guitar alongside Jeff Beck. This was a laboratory for him. He started experimenting with bowing the guitar and using different effects, pushing the boundaries of what a blues-based band could do before the group eventually folded under its own weight. When the Yardbirds collapsed, Page was left with tour dates to fill and a vision. He recruited Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham. What emerged wasn't just a band, it was a powerhouse built on Page's specific ideas about light and shade, the contrast between heavy, distorted riffs and delicate acoustic passages. With the release of their first two albums, Led Zeppelin redefined the scale of rock music. Page was the mastermind behind this expansion. He wasn't just writing riffs. He was producing a sound that felt massive and cinematic. They bypassed the traditional singles market, focusing on the album as a complete artistic statement. Technically, Page is a fascinating study. His playing is often described as loose or even sloppy by some, but it's a deliberate choice for the sake of feel and energy. He utilized a wide vibrato and a heavy attack. His solos weren't just scales, they were compositions within themselves, often built with a frantic, nervous energy that felt like it was constantly pushing forward. Page's phrasing is heavily rooted in the blues, but twisted into something more aggressive. He had a way of pulling notes out of the guitar that felt raw and urgent. Whether it was the stuttering riffs of Black Dog or the fluid lines of Since I've Been Loving You, his phrasing was always about serving the overall atmosphere of the track. The gear was essential to his truth. While the 1959 Les Paul Standard, given to him by Joe Walsh, is his most iconic weapon, his early session work was done on a Telecaster. And of course, the Gibson EDS 1275 double neck became a symbol of his live performances, a practical solution for songs that required both 6 and 12-string textures. In the studio, Page was a magician with small amps, often using a Supro to get those massive saturated tones. On stage, it was the roar of Marshall stacks. He understood that big sound doesn't always come from big equipment. It comes from how you place the microphones and how you push the vacuum tubes to their limit. He was an early adopter of the wah-wah pedal and the Sola sound tone bender fuzz, but his most famous experiment was the violin bow. By using a bow on the electric guitar strings, he created haunting, ethereal textures that gave Zeppelin a mystical edge. It was unconventional, polarizing, but undeniably original. This is where Page's technical curiosity shines. He frequently used alternate tunings like Open G to bring a folk-like drone quality to his music. Kashmir and Black Mountainside are prime examples. These tunings allowed him to explore different harmonic landscapes that set him apart from the standard rock guitarists of the era. From the raw power of Led Zeppelin I to the sprawling diversity of physical graffiti, Page's role as producer was paramount. He pioneered distance miking techniques, placing microphones far away from the drums to capture the natural reverb of the room. He was building a 3D wall of sound long before digital technology made it easy. Stairway to Heaven remains his most analyzed work, a masterclass in gradual dynamic buildup. But songs like Dazed and Confused show his darker, more experimental side. Each track was a puzzle for him to solve, often starting with a simple riff and evolving into a complex arrangement of multiple guitar layers. After the tragic end of Led Zeppelin in 1980, Page explored various paths: The Firm, his solo album Outrider, and a high-profile collaboration with David Coverdale. While nothing ever quite matched the scale of Zeppelin, these projects showed a musician still willing to engage with different voices and styles. The 70s were undoubtedly his zenith. Later, the 1994 Unleaded project with Robert Plant revisited their roots with Egyptian and Moroccan musicians, showing Page's enduring interest in world music scales. It wasn't about nostalgia. It was about finding new ways to present the truth of those old songs. From Brian May to Slash, the influence of Jimmy Page is found in the DNA of almost every rock guitarist. He provided the blueprint for the guitar hero, the look, the stance, and the sonic ambition. He taught an entire generation that the guitar could be an orchestral instrument if you had the vision to treat it as such. Today, Page is seen as the curator of Zeppelin's legacy, meticulously remastering their catalog to ensure the sound remains pristine. He's a figure who commands respect for his dedication to the craft of recorded sound. He remains a pillar of rock history, even for those who find his music challenging or overwhelming. Jimmy Page's story is one of a man who looked at a guitar and saw a world of possibilities. He wasn't always the cleanest player, and his music isn't for everyone, but his impact on the technical and creative evolution of rock is undeniable. He was the architect who dared to build something massive. Turn it up, keep it loud. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's meet again in the next story of rock.